I said I was going to do better this week, and I did one day better, which is as well as I could do this week, given my circumstances. I was thinking about the lecture and some very fundamental things like original sin and concupiscence and the things that we deal with every day in our journey toward holiness. And I thought of a question that I often ask people when I'm preparing them for sacraments, particularly baptism, when we're talking about original sin. I ask, why are we here? You know, we wake up in the morning and what are we supposed to be doing every day? And honestly, people aren't quick to answer that, which is a sad statement. You know, we should know our purpose a little bit more clearly. We should know what we're about, and then we should be about it. But with a little coercing or finessing, I guess, we can help lead people to the point at which Christ said, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." That's what we're supposed to be doing. Yes, we have to know, love, and serve God, but we do that by loving and serving the people that are in our purview. The problem is original sin. We are hopelessly selfish because of original sin. We've all seen people who are in a wheelchair and they're sort of, curled in on themselves. St. Augustine says that's what sin does to us. It makes us incurvatus in se, curled in on ourselves. Scott Hahn, I heard say once, "I'm not much, but I'm pretty much all I think about." And that's the effect of original sin. And we can think of baptism as sort of a healing balm, the beginning of our healing, so that we can begin to uncurl and reach out to other people. But then, of course, people who are healing need physical therapy and medication and those kinds of things. And that's the role of parents and godparents and the sacraments to help us uncurl so that we can reach out to other people. Now, how far are we supposed to uncurl? Well, Christ said, "You have to love one another as I have loved you." And he showed us on the cross that we need to be uncurled all the way. We need to be willing, at least, to completely pour ourselves out for the other. But again, because of original sin, that's very difficult for us. Without grace, it's impossible, but we're not without grace, and that's the thing. Now, the other question is, how is that fair? This is a question that always gets people's attention, incidentally. How is it fair that what Adam and Eve did in the garden, however many thousands of years ago, how is it fair that what happened in that garden affects every single human being born from then until the end of time? And that's a lot of people. And then I let them stew on that a little bit because they think they should know the answer, but the answer's tricky. Then I say, it's just as fair as the fact as what Christ did on the cross saved every single one of us. And the only way that either one of those can be true is because we're all one. We're all one. And Adam, as the first man, sinned for all of us. And Mary said yes for all of us. And Christ was obedient unto death for all of us, the second Adam. That drives that point home a little bit, I think, because I take that then to say, we're all the body of Christ. So what I do affects you, and what you do affects me, right? We're all affecting one another, and we're all helping one another. So that if we are doing our part, the whole body glows. And when we're failing, the whole body is suffering. And my prayers can help you, and your prayers can help me. But my sin also affects you, and your sin affects me. There is no such thing as a personal sin that doesn't affect anyone else. When we come to a better understanding, at least, of these fundamentals of the unity and communion that we're created to have and how we affect one another, then sometimes the discussion about sin is seen in a whole new light. And I think that that's really fundamental, because it's very easy, because the commandments, for example, are written as thou shalt nots. It's easy to see those moral expressions as no more than stop it, knock it off, don't do that, you can't do that, you can't, in a negative way. But what we need to do is, I think, shift the lens a little bit, or shine the light from a different angle, however we want to look at that, so that we can help people see that the whole thing about ethics of any kind, you know, particularly sexual ethics, which I think people think are very personal and don't really have any effect on other people as long as we're consenting adults, or what I do in private, or, you know, whatever. I think it's helpful to begin that conversation from the point of love, the point of how we love and serve one another by our own personal behavior, but also our own personal ethics. So it's difficult, I think, it can be difficult to get people to shift their perspective enough to really have that as a foundation. But I think as a foundation, that's closer to what's true. And it helps us in seeing that we are all united on one level, helps us see that our behavior is affecting every single person in the entire human body, as it were, human race. And so we can appreciate the, what's the word I'm looking for? The communal, the corporateness of our goodness, our good deeds, and also of our sinful ones. I hope that helps.